Hello everyone, and welcome back to the second Techknow podcast. So firstly, a big thank you again to our sponsor for this particular podcast, which is Midwich. And just a shout out again, we've got Jack and Jay in the audience again, so if there's any questions for, I say our panelists, but for our guests, please let us know. So without further ado, let's do some introductions. So to begin with, we've got Sophia from Innov8.
Hiya, yep. So I work for Innov8 Property Solutions, which is a commercial property management company. We manage everything from sort of vacant properties to sort of 500,000 square feet, multi-tenanted offices. So we see a bit of everything.
Brilliant, thank you. And we've got another Louis from Midwich.
Thank you. Yep, I'm Louis, so I'm from Midwich. We're a distribution company. We distribute all kinds of AV technology. Personally, myself, though, I sit on the UC team, so I'm talking all things meeting rooms, keep people together and making sure everyone at home feels like they're in the office.
Well, thank you. And we've got Paul Bamber, a returning guest from last year from AVM.
Yep, my name's Paul Bamber. I work in the sales team at AVM. My role is commercial manager, and I feel like I'm here representing bald people on this panel.
Thank you very much.
I can lend you some.
You might represent me in the future one day as well. So let's start off with my other Louis. So let's begin with, how do you think the workspace will feel in 2 years' time?
That's such a hard question. It's such a hard question because it's forever changing. And I feel like every year as well, we come up with a new buzz term that we're looking at. I feel like everything needs to go easier for people, right? We all use so much technology in the meeting room spaces and in our offices, and even now in just like our parking zones that link in with our working spaces. And sometimes it can feel a little bit disjointed, let's say, because there's a different technology for different things. So I think maybe in the next few years, we'll see it all coming together a bit more unity.
Yeah.
A whole lot. I'd hope so anyway.
Well, Sophia, as someone who works in a workspace, how has technology influenced the way you manage your workspace, would you say?
I think there's a massive demand now, as you said, as everyone said today, for like a lot of co-working areas, flexibility, but more than anything, that's tech, because people want to have meetings in weird places. People want to have a meeting in the cafe or, on a landing, and you've got people walking in and out and about, and like we've just had some meeting pods installed by your guys, which give that great like acoustic solution, and they are just booked solid now. I can't get in them for love nor money, so I kind of regret not booking a permanent slot on those. But yeah, I think people just, like you say, they want fluidity of work. They want to be able to just go somewhere, plug in and play. Does.
So technology has definitely had a massive influence on the way you manage your space.
Yeah. And it means that people can work from home, but they can work in the office. And I think when you give them the choice, you need to make sure that there's the resource available wherever they go, that it doesn't affect everybody around them, and that's I think where we're headed. To be honest.
Well, and for yourself, Paul, how do you approach that solution? During the consultancy process, how do you approach creating the best solution for our existing and prospective partners? Would you say?
Well, when we onboard new people at AVM and when we go and speak to new customers, the first thing we talk about is that we don't jump to tech. We're not going straight to the solution. We like to spend time in that ideation phase, meet with the client, understand how the room's going to get used, who's going to use it, and really try and put yourself in their shoes from an empathy perspective. But it's just really those client and getting the right people in the room is key. There's no point necessarily speaking to the project manager that might be delivering the scheme. You really need to speak to the people who are actually going to use it. So we look to just involve key stakeholders if we can, as early as we can. Obviously, Sophia's a prime example of that. You want vocal, clients with ideas, maybe what they want, and you just try and take them on that journey and maybe introduce concepts they'd not thought of. We're a consultancy first business, and I think that's a real differentiator for us as a business.
As an example, with those booths you were mentioning before, how did that come about as the solution that you need, would you say? I mean, I imagine you spoke with Paul regarding this, and it was all floated around between you.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we already had common areas, as is commonplace now in any kind of commercial building. Groups of like 10 tables on the lobbies with interactive TVs. It was easy to use, but it wasn't functional because it wasn't soundproof. So we've been wanting the meeting booths for a while, and what we've put in them is those 360 team bars. So we were talking earlier about how people can communicate when they're talking all at once. The team bars, because it's zooming in on who's talking, it suddenly falls away from just noise. You can actually read people's lips rather than just seeing a cacophony of noise and nobody actually talking. So that was a great solution, actually. It's working really well. We're really happy with it.
Brilliant.
What you also have to consider is these are not income-generating meeting rooms that Innov8 have put in. This is about understanding what their customers want. You've got, 4 floors, multi-tenanted. They don't need to provide these meeting spaces, but they're providing them because it's what they think their customers need, and they're booked up as a result. It's about
having the ear on the ground.
Just going the extra mile and trying to, like you have a strap line, don't you, make that commute worth it. And that's what they're trying to do.
And in terms of the technology that does eventually get put in there once it's decided upon, for yourself, Louis, where would you say that manufacturers' minds are at these days, and what are their general focuses? Is there anything different in that industry, and what kind of technology is being made and developed at the moment?
So I definitely think there's an argument between what manufacturers are trying to do and achieve, because it seems like the next best thing, right? There's definitely that, because every vendor has to think, right, how can we stand out above the rest? But 100%, yes, there's always that conversation. And at Midwich, we're quite fortunate to be a little bit ahead of the curve about what's coming out next. And we're always involved with those conversations of, look, it might sound like this is a great idea, but do people need it? Yeah, do people want this? And not only do they want it, but will it help them? Because at the end of the day, if it's not going to help someone and it's not going to empower their day, then what's the need for it, right? Exactly. Unless there's something there to say, you might not have realized that you needed this. So here's this cool idea because we want to see if it will help you. But yeah, 100%. A lot of the conversations are about what people need and what they want and what will help their day.
What happens quite commonly is we'll get people coming to us and they'll say, we want this. But we have to almost take them a step backwards and say, wait, is that really what you need? And what are your end users trying to achieve? You get a lot of situations where there's office managers who they've got certain needs that need to be met, but it's the people above them that are making the final decisions when they're not being consulted on what they need to improve their workspace. So it's important to get bogged down with the end user requirements before just throwing some kit in there. So, that's something I know you're very keen on doing, Paul. And a question on a slightly different topic. How do AVM as a company approach sustainability with regard to designing our systems? It's not something I get involved in because I'm on the engineering and commissioning side, but when you're actually proposing the solutions to the customers, how do we consider that?
Again, going back to the consultancy first approach, the most sustainable project is to reuse maybe what the customer already has, and that always falls part of the initial conversation. We'd love to reuse, and we do loads of schemes where we move kit maybe from one office to another, or one room to another. That's the most sustainable thing to do. And then we'd look at energy efficiency. Maybe it's a newer model, because certainly the guys here can talk more confidently about it than I can, but things have become more energy efficient, so maybe that it's worth replacing it. We also do things like maybe fit occupancy sensors in there so that the room doesn't activate, the room doesn't power up until people walk in there. Again, sustainability for me is lots of small little initiatives. It's not one big thing that you can turn down just to start saving energy. But again, as a business, we're trying to get ahead of it. Our new version of our invoice system, our ERP, we've started to list energy usage now against all of the assets. So when Sophia would receive a quote, it will show you what energy consumption each one of those devices. So we're just trying to take us and take our customers on a journey and just maybe make it a little bit more obvious. And we could offer them maybe a more energy efficient device. It's a bit like we were chatting earlier. In your personal life, you look for a more energy efficient device, but maybe you're not as aware of it in the commercial environment. So we're just trying to bring that information a little bit easier to the customer. And as you know, shameless plug for DigiSpace, but again, we're a technology partner. We're not just an audio-visual integrator. So we'll go and put an energy clamp on, and within a couple of days, we'll show you live energy consumption data. Is that useful to you, customer? So we're all trying to go on a journey. We're trying to take the customers on that journey with us, and hopefully some of these insights are useful.
And it's kind of like an endless loop, because you feed it to us at that kind of quote stage, and then we've noticed that we have screens for our building that we put content onto, and what tenants want to see is, how is this building being efficient? You know, how much is the solar panel saved this month? And having the now signage and all the screens throughout the building, it's that direct link into people's daily life to actually show them that data, because otherwise you send, you know, as a tenant, this month you use X. It goes to one person in the accounts team. They don't care. So you really do need tech to kind of feed sustainability into the office as well.
Is the technology there for you at the moment? Is that something you're actually looking at?
Yeah, definitely. Like we've got sort of new projects happening, especially at the Soapworks in Salford Keys, where we just had a new energy monitoring software fitted, and we've got a great dashboard, and we just screenshot that straight on the screens. People come up to us and actually ask about it. Like it's visual interaction. I'm sat on reception and I'm like, oh yeah, I know about that. I sent that report. So again, it's that circularness of actually like dispersing the information that matters.
Yeah, it's brilliant that even just behind a reception desk, you're able to see that live data. It doesn't take some tech person to just go in there and retrieve your readings for you. You've got ready access to that, and you can make adjustments to your workspace on the go to improve your energy consumption. So that's really good.
That's got to have been the best part of the development you've seen in this space as well, right? Because like you say, once upon a time, it would take someone technical, somewhere hidden away, to run a report and say, this is what we are doing, this is what we're seeing. And by that point, it's too late. Yeah. Like you said, if you wanted to turn off an office floor one day because no one was there, we can see that. We can see what we're saving. We can see what we're doing our bit, effectively.
And like for tenants to be able to see what individual meters are reading, you know, that way they can track how much staff are coming into the office, if they need to adjust their lighting, their heating. Obviously certain buildings are better than others, and the ones that aren't, we're always kind of pushing them like, I know it's an expensive investment, but when the staff can see the effect, it's worth it. It has an actual it makes a difference.
Yeah, it's going to be a big requirement in the future, I think, where this goal to reach net zero, I mean, businesses are going to have to achieve that, and they're going to have to show it in some way, and they're going to need access to this data, so it's definitely really important. And hopefully AVM can help on that journey as well a little bit.
You also have to accept that the property industry is one of the worst sectors for innovation. They won't, in property, you won't change the way you build and operate unless you have to. And that's still the mentality largely for a lot of landlords and developers. Not all, but again, it's a journey. They won't change until they have to. It's got to be a legislation or some kind of reason for them to maybe look at investing in smarter tech.
Brilliant. Well, that's all for my questions. I just wanted to see if there's any questions in the audience. Jack and Jay, you floating around anywhere? There's Jay, there's Jack.
I'm here.
Got any questions?
Any questions from anybody? Yeah. I think we must have some. No, looks like it's back to you, Louis.
Oh, we got away with that one, didn't we?
Everyone wants to spin that wheel.
He's got a question for Louis.
When are we spinning the wheel? And that's the question.
Right after this, I think. Is that right, James? Okay, brilliant. Well, we'll call it at that then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the podcast.